What they've done, though, they play games where we share the cost 50-50 with the state as a general rule.
Right.
They write into law 49-51, 48-52. They keep lowering the state percentage by 1 or 2 or 3 points.
Sure, nibbling
keep
away.
nibbling the
Right.
state. So how upset would anybody get? All right, the county went from 50 to 51. Well, you know, 50 to 51 on a $500 million program could mean tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
So the program hasn't changed. The need is exactly there, but simply the county now has to pay for it. And where do you get it from? Property
But on
tax.
a local level, when you're talking 10 million to the state as compared to 10 million to the county,
it's huge.
it's
huge.
huge.
To us, it's a big number. To them, it's a
2%,
rounding error.
2% to them,
It's a 2%,
yeah.
and to them, it's just a rounding error.
Right.
There, look, our budget is 1.7 billion and change. Theirs is 130 billion. And then, of course, the federal government's in the trillions. So the bigger you get, those little numbers, while they add up, are still rounding errors to them. So the pressure is very. It's something that the insiders know about, but the service will get delivered. It's just a question of, like toothpaste, who's going to pay for it, where it's going to splatter.
Right. So I mean, do you see the state doing this though, or
State has to.
begun...
How? Dom, you're a family. You're running 100,000. You make 50,000. Your wife makes $50,000. So you're living on $100,000. Hopefully your job's secure and you're working. And suddenly your job's not so secure, where maybe you're asked to take underemployed. Maybe, as I'm hearing more and more, people are saying, look, everybody's going to take a 20% cut. So we're not going to lay people off, but everybody's going to sacrifice. So now maybe you go from $100,000 income to $80,000 income. $20,000, that's not a big deal. Well, $20,000 is a huge deal.
Right.
If you're just making it on 100 and maybe trying to put money away for college, trying to pay your bills, and everything's going up. So it's a tough time for everybody. We recognize it. Our job is to be as prudent as we can, keep our workforce as small, keep our auto fleet as small, keep our benefits down as much as possible, and do what we can, and at the same time support entities like the medical center and other entities that we have to continue to support.
Right. So then let's go now then to quality of life issues. Are we still maintaining environmental as far as our water goes? You know, our open space commitments.
Right. What do we?
Or are we backing down on those a little bit?
That's a great question. At the moment, that's not been on the chopping block yet, because it goes to why we live here, why we want to live here, our environmental health and things like that. So, you know, I've always joked as a county legislator, and you perhaps will see someday, we are almost sewer legislators or infrastructure legislators. Our job is to make sure that everything flows from beginning of pipe to the end of pipe. People have clean drinking water on the front end, and people have processing of that which is our waste on the back end. And the 7 sewage treatment plants are up and running. They're fiscally responsible. We're constantly under mandate to improve them. Drinking water is a big issue throughout the entire region. It's threatened when you have development. The aquifer is threatened if you're drinking from groundwater. It's threatened if you're drinking from reservoirs and the like, runoff, pesticides. We're focused on all the quality of life issues because there's no one responsible for drinking water. Who's the legislator to do that? What's the law that says you have to have drinking water?
Sure.
There's federal mandate, EPA and all, but really the carry-through is State Department of Environmental Conservation and then the counties and working with our towns. So yeah, I think our quality of life is good. Our drinking water wins awards. It meets all standards. Our sewage is being treated. Our garbage is being processed. I think in all counts we're doing fine. The problem is not today, but the problem is the future. If we stop investing for tomorrow because it's bad times today, it's going to bite us and it's going to pay it. We're going to get paid back in bad ways.
Instead of keeping, let's say, like a constant delivery of maintenance on certain infrastructure, you let it run, and then all of a sudden, 6 years, 7 years, now you've got
the bridge that you don't paint suddenly rusts out and it falls.
Well, speaking of bridge,
yeah,
Tappan Zee Bridge, what's going on?
Yeah. The state is well. First of all, where are they going to come up with what's $10 to $15 billion? Funny money. They're going to try to get to, but they're too late. They can't even get into the Obama stimulus because it's supposed to be shovel ready, and they're far from shovel ready. The hope is that though the shovel ready projects are done, and then projects like the Tappan Zee Bridge make their way now to the front of the line because everybody that had been in front of them has been led into the theater. So suddenly they're first in line at that point. With the Midtown Tunnel, the New Jersey Transit that's coming over for new, I think about 34th Street. They're bringing in passengers that way. A lot of money is going to go for that. 2nd Avenue subway, they're constantly looking for money. TZ Bridge is a necessity. You can't keep putting in hundreds of $millions a year into a 50-year-old plus structure. It's just not economic.
Sure,
it's a waste of, you have to do it because the bridge can't fall down, but at the same time it's outgrown its needs. The issue there is money first. Second is the design, and they've decided they're not doing a tunnel.
I know, because that was a big debate for quite some time, was the tunnel.
Too expensive. It's $50 billion instead of $15 billion. While it has a longer lifespan, the grade is such that it's very difficult to build and all. Then once you decide you need the bridge and how many lanes on either side, the last big issue is mass transit. When Robert Moses, and you read in Caro's book, The Power Broker, did not make provision in his bridges for mass transit over the Queens, from Queens to the Bronx and the Throgs Neck and the Tappan Zees, and not Tappan Zees, the Throgs Neck and the Whitestones and all. He did that because he didn't really value mass transit. Notice there's no median in the center. There are just the 3 lanes and the 3 lanes. We, however, now know that you have to plan now for mass transit of the future, and you can't be opposed to people from New York City who have to go on mass transit and buses. Also, by the way, that's why the bridges over all the parkways and the highways are those rounded, nice-looking bridges.
Right.
Buses can't go under them because he did not want, allegedly, people from New York City going out to Jones Beach and those other beaches. He wanted people in individual cars to go out, and Mr. Caro did a good job of explaining that. Well, we've learned from that. We're a little more enlightened than that. And so the TZ Bridge needs to have a center corridor for either articulated bus, for a light rail, for a heavy rail. Freight is out, but the issue, because they'll be on the western side of the
So it's almost like a multi-use bridge versus being just one-dimensional.
But you got to pay for it and design it now. So even though you don't run the track down the middle, you have to make plans now because you can't rebuild that portion later on.
Right.
That adds expense. That adds what do you need in terms of that kind of right-of-way.
So it actually would connect the other side of the river?
It could theoretically take you from, in a one-seat fashion, I mean, that's the goal, of course, is to take Rockland, bring them over to Westchester, and bring them down the Hudson, presumably into New York City.
Sure.
Probably not going to work. They'll probably do the one seat through Rockland, but the other hope we would have is to use the corridor, the 287, to hook up, like in a fan, to hook up with the Harlem, the Hudson, and the New Haven lines, so that you would be able to, at all stops, get onto any one of those lines, and you wouldn't have to travel into New York City and then fan back out again. That would be very convenient. And then what happens is, when you build it, they come. When you put that kind of transit in, you then create and welcome industries and workflows that then necessitate people going from Rockland to Connecticut, maybe up the New Haven line at that point. Now suddenly people are adjusting, they grow to what you build. Right. And that's the beauty there, but you know what it takes.
Money now. And unfortunately in this down economy, it's even tougher.
I left my checkbook at home, I apologize. I could contribute to it. Where's yours? Did you bring it?
It bounces too
We'll get Dennis
fast.
Tate to put it in because he has more than God, so that's not a problem.
All right, so let's go on then to...
Let's do energy. Energy is a big issue when you say environmental.
Yes.
And you know me, I'm very wallflowerish and very quiet and very taciturn and really don't have a lot of thoughts. But on the energy issue, I do. Yes, gasoline is no longer, at $4.40 or 50 cents per gallon, and we're down to $1.93 and the like. But clearly, it was a manipulated market up, and it's a manipulated market down. But we know inevitably price will rise. Right. Supply and demand.
Yeah, I think deep in everyone's back, at the back of their mind, they're all saying, you know what, it's only temporary. We're going to be back at 4 within a year. It'll be back.
Whatever. We're going to be there because there is a finite amount of fossil fuel, and there is an ever-increasing demand. Malthusian, 6 billion people and the like. So without question, that's going to put strain. We need to turn to really 2 things. And the leadership now at the federal level, both parties, and the crisis that we went through, again, crisis, has taught us that we better plan for the next crisis.
It's the wake-up call.
Bing, it's the wake-up call.
Right.
And so the 2 areas are conservation, which is use less, and renewables, find it from sources that are renewable. The conservation, what's neat about it is it takes 118% energy generation to use 100% energy. There's an 18% wastage in electricity creation or in any other energy usage. So if you can save 100 units, you've just automatically saved the other 18 as well. So conservation is the finest way to, in fact, get at the energy problem.
Right.
The other advantage to conservation
in order
is
to reduce dependency on foreign
oil.
oil. Whatever the case.
The other advantage to the conservation side